the world we live in today, some things are true for everyone. We need love, we need food, and a roof over our head. In America, you wouldn't expect a teen to sleep outside on a bench, but more and more teens are becoming homeless every day. So a variety of reasons can cause a child to lose their home. No two reasons are ever the same.
Christian Becerra, Christian, Becerra, Becerra. Kickapoo has helped me out in quite a few ways. They provided me with food, clothes and toiletries and stuff like that. I had, teachers and counselors and everybody kind of helped me out with being able to get schoolwork done as well, because with being homeless, you focus more on other things than really work, and they try to help me out with that and try to help me stay focused at school and in my working class. Ways that people have helped me is my friends. If I needed something, food or anything, that they would help me out with that. Friends were a huge help because if I needed somewhere to go, they would take me in and give me a place to stay at, and as well teachers. They if I needed something, they would get it for me if they could or not, and every now and then, just everywhere there was people wanting to help, and that's what I feel was good about it. Well, I really didn't know how to feel at first. I was kind of, scared, nervous. My perspective on life kind of, changed quite a bit, just because my focus on school left, and I was more focused on whether I was going to have a place to stay, more focused on whether I was going to eat that day, or basically if I was going to be able to really do anything. And it was just life-changing for sure. I mean, you go from having a home to being out in the streets. So when I first was homeless, I didn't have anywhere to go. I was living in my van for 3 weeks, and from there, some friends had found out about it, and they had taken me in, and throughout those 3 weeks, basically what I did was, I would go to my job and I would eat there, and usually you had to pay, but since I really didn't have money or anything, I would steal the food and I would, eat, and I just kind of try to do whatever I could to stay alive. Well, I couldn't say I didn't care about it, but I could say it wasn't something that was on my mind. I was more worried, like I said before, on whether I was gonna have, food. Was I gonna be able to have somewhere to stay? High school was more of a place where I could go that I knew I would have warmth and stuff like that. I would have a roof over my head, but high school and the work and school itself was not really a priority at the time. This experience has definitely made me stronger. It's made me realize that, to value things in life, to value the things that you have, and don't take it for granted, for sure. Because not only did I lose a home, I also lost my family, and it made me realize, how much, I really love my brothers and sisters, and how much I really love my mom. And so it's not just basically losing a home, it's losing much more than that. It's losing your own blood, you're losing your family, and it's just hard to be able to deal with that. But in the end, when you keep on going and you keep on fighting, there's gonna be a way out. And it's made me realize that anything is possible, because if I've done it since freshman year and I'm still in school and I'm still trying to do something with my life, anybody can do it. There's going to be struggles, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be things in life that you feel like you can't go through, but at the end, when you accomplish that goal, you're stronger mentally and physically, and things in life would, you know, just build you stronger and stronger as you go through it. I definitely want to go to college. Because I'll be the first one in my entire family to go to college. None of my mom, my dad, my brothers and sisters, none of them have been to college. I'll be the first one, and I want to get involved with social work, criminal justice. I want to get involved with teens who are struggling in life, who feel like they don't have a way out, who feel like, you know, their life is over. I want to be that hope. I want to be that person there for them to let them know, you know, there is a way out. There is a way to overcome these obstacles in your life, and it all comes through, you know, faith and courage and strength. And I want to be able to give them that, and I want to be able to let them know, it's like, you know, I was once in your situation, you know, when I was little, you know, I was homeless for 2 years. You know, I've been through a lot in my life, and kind of want to share my life story with them to let them know, you know, I came from nothing to something. And, you know, with every obstacle, with every journey, anything in life, at the end there's always victory.
Yes, Tammy Holly, Tammy. A number of independent students that are, most of them are homeless, and that is independent. They're not living with their parent and they're supporting themselves. We currently have 13 that are identified. The Hug Fund started back in 1999 by a girl named Dana Phillips, and she was on cabinet, and she had discovered somebody that was homeless and found out that the girl was not able to afford a yearbook or dance tickets or anything like that because she had to work to pay for her rent, and she felt bad and she wanted to start something. So she started and did fundraising. She started the Hug Fund, and it stands for Helping Us Graduate. It is specifically for independent students that are supporting themselves and trying to graduate, and it will pay for things that a lot of other resources that I have won't pay for. It pays for the fun stuff that I mentioned, like yearbooks, dance tickets, but it also pays for some necessities if it needs to fill in the gaps of other funds that don't pay for that. I define homeless the way the McKinney-Vento Act, which is a federal act, defines homeless. So someone is homeless if they don't have a place to live. Now, they may be living in a shelter that we have, such as the Missouri Hotel or the Victims Shelter. They may be living in the car, they may be couch surfing, sleeping at different people's houses, you know, going from friend to friend. A family, say a mom and a dad with 2 children, lose their house and they have to move. They move in with grandma and grandpa. Even though they're living in a house, they are still classified as homeless according to that federal definition. Sometimes kids come in and say that they're homeless, they left home because they were kicked out or they had gotten in an argument with mom or dad. Usually we need more information before we declare them as homeless because they might be going back. It was just a little upset. Sometimes they leave because the home situation isn't always desirable. Sometimes there's a hotline call for abuse, but they're old enough that the foster care system isn't going to take them in. When they're 17, they can legally leave the house and be on their own. However, it's difficult for them to, you know, find services and rent and things like that when you're only 7. The only thing they need to do is just tell an adult in the building. They can come to their counselor, they can come to me, they can go to their assistant principal, they could talk to an attendance secretary or even a teacher. Most all of the adults in the building know that I do have services that help students that are independent and homeless. All they need to do is just go to one of the adults in the building. They can go to their counselor, they can come to me, they can go to their assistant principal, they could tell a teacher. Most of the teachers know that I'm aware of services for homeless kids, and so the teachers will end up contacting me. So all they need to know is that they just need to tell an adult. Well, my first question would be, why do you think there shouldn't be a Hug Fund? And I have had people say to me in the past, you're helping this student, but I know that they don't always make the best decisions and they're partying on weekends and things like that. My response to that is, I would rather help that student finish high school and get a diploma, and hopefully when they're a little bit older they'll make some better decisions, and when they do start making better decisions, they don't have that roadblock of not having a high school diploma to deal with. The biggest change has been the number of students that I've had to help. When I first started doing this, there'd be maybe 1 or 2 students a year. A couple of years ago, I had 22 students that were independent. Not all of them needed my help, and they all need different kinds of help. I'm doing more basic needs than I am just the extracurricular activities and the fun stuff like the dances and the yearbook.
My name is Benjamin Tegler, Benjamin. My last name is Tegler, Tegeler. The history of the Rare Breed, we opened in the year 2000, about 14 years ago. We opened because there was a gap in the community on serving the younger homeless population. So the kitchen services and everything were serving adult populations, and the younger kids were being taken care of, but there was no services for young adults and teens. So we kind of filled a niche in the community where there was a gap. We are located at 301 North Main in Springfield, Missouri, zip code 65806. We're in the downtown area. The homelessness is an urban problem. We used to be located right up the street in like the heart of downtown, but we left to get a bigger facility. So over the 14 years we've been open, we've had an expansion of kids come in, and we had to, get a bigger space. We still are in downtown because it is a downtown problem. All the kids hang out on the square where there's a common place. There's a lot of activity downtown, and there's a lot of resources and services downtown that are available to the homeless population, including the library, which is free. Books and things, and free internet access, so the kids can go hang out down there and not get in trouble. And also Midtown Library, just around this area, there's a lot of things that benefit the homeless population. Well, we serve the ages 13 and 20-year-olds, so in winter months it's a little slower unless the kids really want shelter. Summer months will be see about 80 to 100 kids at night compared to winter nights where we'll see about 50 to 60 kids. So as the sun comes out, as it gets warmer, we see a lot more different people coming in from different areas of the country that may have heard about services we offer. A lot of traveling kids, but we do have a lot more youth in the summer, and that can be added to no school, kids looking for something to do, and just come hang out down here. We used to get our funding from the federal government, the Federal Youth Services Bureau, FYSB. We did not receive our grant this year for either of our programs. So right now we are solely relying on community support and donations, private donations. So we don't have any funding right now. It's just kind of floating up in the air, and we're staying open. We still have some leftover money that's keeping us afloat, but right now we're relying solely on the community. That's an interesting question. Teens are in a different state of mind than an adult. They're still developing behavior patterns, brain development, and everything. So it's almost it's a hard time for a kid to grow up, even if they have a home, and then they get added stress put on, not having a home, not knowing where they're going to sleep, not knowing what they're going to eat. And they get put into dangerous situations, which creates more stress and maybe a substance abuse problem or a mental health issue or they get into criminal activity. So it's already a critical time for development, and that's when a lot of kids start developing decision-making skills, which can be good or bad. And if there's no positive role model, or there's no home or no stable environment, it can turn into a destructive process where that young adult that's homeless can become that older person who's 40 or 50 years old that's still homeless and still going through those type of emotions. There are many reasons. A lot of the youth we serve here at the Rare Breed have to do with abuse. They've either ran away from home or left their home due to physical abuse, being hit or struck, or physically abused, mental abuse, having names called, being continually mentally abused or verbally abused or emotionally abused. And then there's also a lot of sexual abuse cases with our kids, like their parents were sexually abusing them in any way, shape, or form, which requires them to run away or to leave the house. And then also drugs are a huge problem in the home. They could have an alcoholic parent, they could have a parent addicted to methamphetamines, and the drugs are in the home, and it's just not a healthy environment. So they either start to use those drugs or they leave. And there's also a lot of youth we serve that are from the state system, children from Family Services or the Department of Children's Services that got out of foster care when they were 18, and after that they didn't have anywhere to go, so they're homeless right now. They never transitioned. So here at the Rare Breed, education is a huge part of our program. Like I said, we serve 13 and 20-year-olds, and we urge kids and try to persuade them to stay in school if that's an option. Sometimes it's really hard for a kid to go to school when they don't have a home or they don't have a stable environment to stay at. So they could go to school and then they don't know where they're going to stay at, and the next may stay up all night. And if they can't stay in regular high school, we try to get them enrolled in alternative schools such as Studi. And if that doesn't work out, we try to enroll them in GED classes at the Missouri Career Center at OTC. The Rare Breed actually does have Rare Breed GED classes here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 11:30 to 2. We pay for the test, we have free child care, and we also pay for the classes, and an OTC instructor comes down here. So we have GED classes here, so if a youth is homeless, they can come in here and get an education. We can enroll them in school. It's pretty difficult because they're trying to get food, they're trying to get shelter. There's more important things, trying to meet those basic needs in education. But if we can start meeting those basic needs, we can get them their basic education, their GED or their diploma, and then help them get enrolled in OTC or get their FAFSA and get enrolled in Missouri State or whatever they wish to do. We do a lot of community outreach, so we'll go to high schools and we'll talk about our programs. We'll go to community events, we'll go to any events in the area. It can be a festival, it can be an event at Missouri State, and we'll go and we'll set up, bring a few staffs, or we'll go to churches and we'll go to other organizations and we'll speak about our services. And we'll tell the community about that. Another aspect of the outreach is our street outreach program. That's where we put on backpacks and big bags. We'll carry blankets, gloves, brochures and resources, food and water, and we'll walk around the community searching in all over downtown and all over Springfield, north, south, east, west, and we'll search for youth, and we'll tell them about our services and other services available in the area. So we actively go outside of our building and we search for kids out on the streets. Kind of what I said earlier, like the homeless teen, it's a very fragile time in their lives, development-wise, and not having those stable environments can provide, a dangerous outcome. A homeless adult could have been a homeless teen, and a lot of the homeless adults either have a mental illness or a substance abuse, that have never sought out help or didn't know where to get help, or are just out there sick and need assistance, and there could be services where they're not getting everything they need. There are a lot of services in Springfield, but a lot of them for homeless older adults are hard to get into, a lot of those services. The ages we serve, 13 and 20, it's kind of easier to get those kids in services because they're still young. They haven't had all those negative experiences maybe that 50 years of homelessness has. So the people that have been homelessness for an extended period of time would be considered chronic homelessness, where they've been homeless for maybe 10 years. A lot of our kids are in a thing called episodic homelessness, so they go through homelessness in episodes. So the youth may get kicked out of their house when they're 17 and be homeless for a few months, and then find a house with a friend, get a job, get on their feet for a little bit, and then it could happen again. They could get kicked out, lose their job. So it's just up and down. I'm homeless, I have a home. I'm homeless, I have a home. And that will play out in episodes. Or it could be a youth is temporary homeless, or they have lost their house with their parents and they're all homeless, and then they all get back on their feet, and it was just kind of this blip in time and they're back okay. But most of the adult population is chronically homeless, besides families and things of that nature. The community organizations and support, we hold a lot of events and fundraisers. There's a Springfield Sleep Out, Stomp Out the Blues of Homelessness. There's a lot of community organizations that represent the rare breed and provide fundraisers and music groups. There's a lot of support, and also the street outreach and the community outreach that the rare breed does provides a lot of awareness. We also work with the City of Springfield, the Urban Districts Alliance, the United Way, Community Partnership, and a lot of organizations in the area. And we also are part of the Kitchen Incorporated. We're the Youth Services Department of the Kitchen, so they also put out a lot of marketing and public relations for us. Our transitional living program, we have 8 apartments throughout the community, and we have a full-time case manager. There's 2 rooms in each apartment, so we can house up to 16 youth. The basis of the transitional living program is in the word transition. So if a youth is homeless and they have all their basic needs met except for shelter, we can provide that shelter for them for an 18-month period and extend that depending on their program. So it's a unique program wherever the youth is at. We can help them with our case management, which is basically someone to guide them, make sure they're going to appointments, make sure they're going to school, going to GED class, going to mental health appointments or substance abuse appointments, our pregnancy classes. It could be anything that is with that unique individual. We serve 17 to 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds with that. So they'll have their own apartment out in the community, and our case manager will check with them 2 to 3 times a week, make sure everything's going all right and they're doing everything they're supposed to do. We require that they get a job and, transition from being homeless to a self-supporting adult. So they come in off the streets, we help them with everything they need, we get them in the housing, and then we try to get them out of that episode to be an independent adult and to be a productive member of society.